This is a note from Judah Meyer Jenna. Kevin Mitchell really united the junior high youth group together. He brought stability and reliability with him. I haven't been in a youth group for almost 15 years, but the simple fact that Kevin continues to nurture the youth speaks to his example of consistency and fatherly support. Thank you, Kevin Mitchell. Judah Meyer. This is a letter from Cassie Petroselli. Dear Kevin, I hope you're doing well. It's been about 12 years since I first stepped into Lifespring back in 2010. That day was truly life-changing for me. I was going through a really hard time, and my cousin reached out to me and asked if I wanted to go to church. I told her no many times before this because I wasn't even sure I believed in God, but I went, and we went to service together, and then she told me she was in the high school youth group and I'd be going to the junior high youth group. Kevin welcomed me and introduced me to everyone. I came back the next week and the weeks following that, and I finally felt like I belonged somewhere. And it didn't matter what was going on at home or at school, because I knew that every Sunday I got to be around people who truly cared and who I knew I could count on. All the retreats I attended and the group outings taught me how to be a Christian and what it means to be a Christian. I came to church that first Sunday wanting to end my life because my home life was too much for me to handle. But Kevin and his whole family showed me so much kindness, and it introduced me to God in a way I had never been shown before, which changed everything for me. Thank you for showing me Jesus and being such an inspiration of what a follower of Christ looks like. You didn't know it then, but through your kindness and your patience and just being the amazing youth leader you are, you made a difference in my life, and I thank you for that. Sincerely, Cassie. Hi, Kevin. Teresa Evans here, same class as Jasmine. Thank you for building into me and others in junior high ministry. You were the one constant in an ever-changing staff, and that is so important. Since then, I've received a BS in biomedical engineering, got a job at Johnson & Johnson, and got married. Cheers to 20 plus years. Kind regards, Teresa.
Hi, Kevin. It's Morgan Davis. I just wanted to reach out and say thank you for all you did for our class throughout the years. I'm about to get married now. I have 3 babies and run 2 businesses. It's crazy the path God set out for me. Appreciate you and everything you've done for Lifespring and the kids that are now grown adults. Thank you, Morgan Davis.
Well, I can't believe that I started teaching junior high with you when my 18-year-old was 3 months old. So it's been 18 years. I've really loved being on your team, and your passion and energy for middle school students has been amazing and sustainable all these years. I was thinking about all the great lessons that you've done, and were some of my favorites, like lighting the match and making the room all smoky when we would have the kids introduce themselves, to bringing in your airsoft guns and your targets so that kids could really understand the idea of sin is missing the mark, or toothpaste squishing all over the place to demonstrate that we can't take back our words once they come out, or apples rotting in our closet to show us that we need to keep good company, and or that hilarious time you had curling iron in the bag. I think the message was to test whether kids would listen to authority and know that authority had their best interest in mind, but nevertheless, I won't mention his name, but one student did reach their hand in there. We were all screaming, "No!" I just love going to CIY with you, listening to all your stories about growing up and riding your big wheel and breaking windows, watching TV past your bedtime, and then your mom catching you because the TV was still hot, even though you had turned it off and shut the lights off before she got home. But most of all, I think that you have just really made a difference when we see all the kids that come back to the junior high classroom when they're in high school, because really ultimately it was their favorite place. And students over the years just seeing a man who's faithful, who sticks around, who's reliable, and has been there for them over the years, and just appreciate you and working with you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kevin. I was in the junior high in like the 2009 range-ish, I think. I'm not so good with dates, but it was great being one of your students, and even greater being one of your daughter's best friends.
Hey Kevin, congratulations on 20 plus years of serving in middle school ministry. Well done, good and faithful servant. I'm super grateful for you as someone who caused a lot of trouble in middle school, felt like I didn't have a place to belong in church. You were the person that always made me feel like I could belong before I behaved, and that God cared about me even when I didn't know who I was. And so grateful for you and your influence. Your influence has indirectly led me to go into ministry and change my family's life and the kids that I lead in ministry now. So great job, Kevin. Love you, man.
Hey Kevin, wanted to take a minute here and just express my gratitude to you for your many years of service at Lifespring, and in particular the student ministry and the junior high class. I think when most people think of you, they think about that junior high class and the constant presence that you've had there for so many years. Two of my kids have come up through there and have just benefited from your leadership and had some conversations based on some of the teaching that you've done in there, and that's been really impactful for our family, and we're just grateful that you were able to do that and willing to do that for so long. Also wanted to thank you for our time together during student ministry when I was the student minister there. It just really meant a lot to me that you would care about that so much and stay plugged in and go on trips and stay with those kids and everybody that came up through there, man. They just, whether they know it or not, they benefited from your presence, and it was just a really great thing to watch happen, and you could just tell that you cared a lot about it. I also want to express some sadness because you and I, when we went to Memphis, Tennessee a couple years back in 2017, I believe it was, and while we were there, Kevin and I did not eat Memphis style barbecue, but we went to a sushi restaurant, and that was the first time that Kevin had had sushi, and I got to be there to witness that experience, and it was a complete and total disaster because he ate two pieces and then I had to finish the rest. But our first mistake was going to Memphis and not eating barbecue. I mean, what were we doing, man? It was stupid. Anyway, thanks a lot, man. It really appreciate your service. Thanks.
Hey Kevin, this is Taylor, as I'm sure you can tell. If you're wondering why my hand's up here, it's because my hair, I don't know what this is. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know if I can. But it looks pretty good when I do this, so I'll keep doing it. I just wanted to say thank you. I'm so thankful to have spent so much of my life with you in it, and you've taught me so many things throughout the years. One specific thing is just how you have encouraged me to pursue interests of mine throughout the years. Remember throughout junior high, just hearing about your soccer experiences and wanting to be a ref too. And even though I never actually did it, I did get the license. I passed the test, and I could have because of you. And I was just, it's just fun talking to you about what you've done and helping you with wood chopping and all that fun stuff. You're just a really great guy, and I'm super thankful for you.
Just a stone's throw away from a vicious battle, the enemies were getting thrashed by Jael's people, the Israelites. Jael said to herself, "I'm pretty sure I'm far enough away from the battle to avoid any surprise problems." No sooner had she said those words than Sisera shows up. He dives headfirst into Jael's tent, landing on the floor next to her. She gasps out. Then she starts pounding on him with her tiny clenched fists. Sisera rolls out of the way and gasping says, "You've got to help me.
You've got to help me."
Suddenly, Jael looks up with a facial expression that says, "Wow, I realize who this guy is." Because at that moment, Jael realizes that Sisera is the top commander of the enemy army. She looks at him with fear. Then she starts to giggle. Then she breaks into uncontrollable laughter because she's got a plan. She mumbles to herself, "I've got a plan." You read my script. Jael takes on a sweet tone of voice and calmly says to Sisera, "Why don't you hide here in my tent?"
"Why don't you hide here in my tent?"
Sisera responds, "Okay."
"Okay." "I won't get mugged or anything."
Jael continues, "Let me get you something to drink." Sisera says,
"Drink."
"Okay."
"Okay."
Jael whips up a batch of her special.
Hey Kevin, I want to say thank you so much for 20 years of serving with the junior hires. 20 years is a long time, as I'm sure you know. You take away 20 years from me and I wouldn't have graduated high school yet. So for you to be doing Sunday mornings all that time with the kind of work that you do is such a huge sign of dedication and how important this is to you, and just a show of where your priorities are. So I want to thank you so much. While I was working on staff, you were very helpful to me. You showed me the ropes a little bit. You helped me out wherever you could. I really appreciated that. And I know the kids appreciate what you bring to the classroom every single morning. Thank you so much. Hey, kid.
When I think of Kevin, I think of a volunteer that told me, I've got your back. I work hard because I want you to look good. And when I got to Lifespring, I didn't know how good I was going to be at this job, if I was going to do well. And I just know Kevin was always super encouraging and honest. If you know Kevin, he's very honest. And I would teach a lesson and he would give me genuine feedback. And that's who he is. He's a genuine man. I'm so thankful to get to serve with Kevin, and I look forward to many more years of serving with Kevin. So, Kevin, thank you for always being you. Thank you for always being encouraging and loving, and seriously loving the students that we work with and building relationships with them. It's not always easy to do, and you've done it for a long, long time. So, thanks, Kevin.
Here's a letter from Kaylee Blair Lazarus. Dear Kevin, I can't thank you enough for your years of service in the junior high class, and specifically for all you've taught me, from being your student to getting to serve alongside you, plus being one of the zillion kids you and Ginger have welcomed into your home and family over the years. I've learned so much about the Bible and God, leadership, character, teaching, handling conflicts, and loving people that are not always easy to love. The lessons you teach in that little classroom have real, lasting impact. In fact, just 2 days ago, I was telling Nick about the angel lesson you teach every couple years. It seems like most people would rather scrub toilets than teach middle schoolers, but for 20 years, you've taken these awkward, rowdy, confused, and wildly emotional kids and given them a space where they can feel heard, appreciated, and loved. Your genuine care for each kid is written across your face when they walk through the door, and you build them up with each high five and every word of tough love. I imagine God will be waiting to give you a big high five the minute you walk into heaven. Thank you for all your years of service and for being an example of leadership and integrity, despite your terrible taste in football teams. Kaylee.